In this video, I'm going to recap one of the horror thriller films from 2012 titled No One Leaves. The movie begins in the dark, deep forest, where a young woman is screaming and running bits barefoot for her life. The woman is an heiress named Emma Ward, who tries all her best to flee, but ends up stepping on the sharp pieces of glass. Despite the acute pain, she bravely removes the shard and resumes her run. But as soon as she approaches the road, she gets caught in a trap and suspended up in the air screaming for help. She uses the shard and writes Emma alive onto the bark of a nearby tree, and what happens next is unknown. The scene shifts to a couple driving down a road, Betty, and an unidentified man referred to as Driver, traveling across the country. Betty is upset because they have to move town, and she blames the man sitting next to her for it, who is apparently trying to cheer her up. Before the night prevails, the couple decides to stay somewhere to rest. Reaching a nearby hotel, Driver meets the receptionist and hands over his credit card for payment. However, the identity of Driver remains unknown, and the receptionist says his name is unusual. Afterward, while sitting in front of the TV in their room, the couple watches the report about the missing young lady we found in the prior scene, Emma. The report specifies that the analysts have come to the tree that Emma stamped, and the etchings appear to be around a half-year-old. Here we can likewise see that Betty has a scar on her stomach, for which her accomplice apologizes to her. In the meantime, on the opposite side of the story, a posse of looters drove by Hogue are burglarizing a house. Among the burglars are Hogue's sibling Ethan, his sweetheart Tamara, Denny, and Flynn, who is basically feudal, yet is still in the gathering since he is Horde's little girl's beau. While they are looting the house, its inhabitants startlingly return. The rich family gets back to their huge manor, yet soon their fervor rapidly transforms into ghastliness as they see the gathering of looters understanding that they are in harm's way. The dad of that family starts to dial madly. However, before he can call the police, Flynn starts taking shots at them and murders the whole family. Hogue ends up being distraught at the silly butcher and hollers at him for killing them. The shots probably cautioned the police, and presently they all need to leave. Back to Betty and her accomplice, who gets some information about supper. While she is in bed, Betty is annoyed and remarks that Driver should maybe ask his other girlfriend about it, whatever that means. The couple then goes out for dinner at a nice restaurant opposite a gas station inside the restaurant. They are served by Hogue's daughter Amber, who works there, and soon after, Hogue and his gang, hungry for a bite, come into the same restaurant. Watching Betty sitting with her boyfriend, Flynn, being the most useless gang member, decides to make his move and instantly saunters to their table. The couple first ignored him, but then warned him to get lost. Flynn's ego couldn't handle the rejection, and he began harassing Betty. The physical fight between them almost begins, but before Driver can make any move, Hogue and his crew arrive, forcing Flynn to leave. Hogue apologizes to the couple and reminds Flynn not to shit where he eats. However, the nightmare is not over for the couple, because when they make their way home, Flynn the useless smashes the driver's window and causes a car crash. Thinking that the couple is wealthy and are carrying very valuable items, Flynn steals their vehicle and drives it back home. He believes that they can get Driver's bank code and other stuff, and tries to involve Hogue and his brother Ethan in his wicked plans. But Hogue gets mad and warns him that one more wrong move will lead him to his end. As Driver and Betty gradually open their eyes, they find themselves trapped in a gas station with their hands tied to a chair. Soon, Ethan arrives there and threatens to kill Betty by placing a dagger against her neck. But then, it seems like Betty has had enough of living with Driver. She tells him she'll see him in the afterlife and presses her neck against the blade of the dagger. As the girl is being brought into the house by the two, Hogue and the rest make their way downstairs when they hear the commotion. At this point, the girl starts yelling at the people around her and telling them to run away as far as they can. She mentions that the owner of the car she's stuck in is dangerous, which is a hint that Driver is a brutal person. She then warns them, saying Driver must be on his way to murder them all in cold blood. Amber then shows up saying that they were unable to reach Ethan, and the girl is sure that Ethan is already dead by this point. Following Hogg's orders, Denny and Tamara head to the gas station to check on Ethan. As Denny and Tamara arrives there, they are not prepared for the sight that awaits them. And as was to be expected, they become horrified to see Ethan's bloodied and lifeless body lying on the ground. They also find Betty's dead bodies there, while the driver is nowhere in sight. The two then load Ethan's dead body into the van and take it back to their hideout. Inside the house, Amber gives the girl her clothes to change into where we see scars on the girl's body similar to the ones we saw on Betty earlier, which tells us that Betty was the driver's new victim. Amber suddenly realizes she has seen the girl somewhere on TV before, and here it is revealed that the girl is Emma Ward, the girl we saw at the beginning of the film. She is a wealthy heiress who disappeared after 14 of her friends were murdered at a party, and Driver is the one responsible for the massacre. However, the most important news is Ward family is offering a $2 million reward for any information leading to the recovery of their daughter. Soon, Denny and Tamara arrive with gloomy expressions on their face and break the dreadful news about the dead Ethan. Watching his brother dead, Hogg gets mad and decides to find Driver at any cost. After Flynn and Denny move Ethan's dead body to a shed, the dead body suddenly awakes, but much of a surprise to us, when Driver unexpectedly appears from inside his body. Meanwhile, Emma attacks the gang members and tries to run away, but is stopped by Hogg. At the same time, Emma notices the driver standing right outside, covered in blood. She then tells Hogg that she will now wait until the driver kills all of them. After washing his body, Driver walks to his truck, where he changes his clothes and gets ready with his multiple weapons. When Hogg and his crew step outside to find Driver, a steel arrow suddenly hits Hogg and pierces through his chest. Danny also gets shot by the traps which Driver has installed before. Flynn and Tamara begin to shoot randomly as Driver has laid several traps, but soon they are forced to retreat. Denny begins to panic as he is losing a lot of blood and their leader has already gone. An argument builds up between Tamara and Flynn because Denny needs to be taken to a hospital immediately. Just then, the driver blows up their van, leaving them with no other option but to fight. Driver emerges victorious after finally capturing Hogg, but his thirst for vengeance was far from sated. With a cold, calculating gleam in his eye, he put Hogg through a cruel torture, thrusting him into the merciless jaws of a meat grinder. Hogg helplessly writhes in agony, while the driver tells Hogg that he is not a serial killer, but a psychopath who likes to kill in groups. After that, with a final horrible push, Driver puts Hogg into the grinding machine, eventually reducing his flesh and bones to pieces and putting an end to his torment forever. Back at the house, Amber asks Emma why she is the only one still alive, to which Emma replies that the driver might have fallen in love with her. The flashback shows Driver locking himself in a room with her where she would live until he was alive, because he was the only one who could free her. After telling Emma this, he taught her how to save his life before slicing an artery in his own neck. It is then revealed that Emma was the one who saved his life. With the van is blown up and Hogg is dead, a fight breaks out between Amber and Tamara. But before the fight could get worse, someone knocks on the door, forcing the group to check out the situation. However, when they peek out of the door, they find a bag hanging outside. Flynn tries to look closer at it, and Hogg's ring appears to be hanging with the bag. Watching this, Flynn gets mad, and when he kicks the bag, Hogg's pieces of flesh fall to the ground, eventually horrifying everyone with this scene. Afterwards, Danny and Amber plan to escape using a broken Jeep from their garage. They manage to safely enter the garage, but when they try to start the engine, the Jeep does not work properly, forcing Denny to step out and fix it. However, as Denny finishes fixing the car, Driver appears out of nowhere and launches a vicious attack on Denny. Seeing this, Amber gets frightened and runs away into the woods. The psychopath begins to chase her and then stabs her with a large knife.